Hello everyone. We are the group 4, consists of Sumaganday, Edson, followed by Espinosa, Luigi. Third is Navarro, or myself. Fourth is Padigos, Leonard. And fifth is Cabilao, Jude. And lastly, Gabriel, Allan. By the way, this video is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardenes, to use this as an educational material. Our topic is all about the world of religion. By the way, I'm Engine Cadet Navarro and I will be the first presenter. Our objective for this topic is to know the world of religion, followed by the philosophical foundation of each religion. Third objective is to know the influence to the world of each religion. So let's begin our discussion. The world of religion. Let's define what is all about the world of religion. The world of religion is a category used to study a religion, to have insights, to know their movements of the religious or their belief system or our cultural system. In order for us to know more the definition of world of religion, we need to know also the origin of religion. Religion is an organized collection of belief systems, cultural system, and worldviews that relate humanity to spiritually and sometimes to immoral values. Many religions have narrative symbols, traditions, and sacred histories that are intended to give meaning to life or to explain the origin of life or the universe. They tend to derive morality, ethics, religious laws, or a preferred lifestyle from their ideas about the cosmos and human nature. Since we already know the definition of world of religion and the origin of religion, we need to know also the types of religious organization. There are various types of religious organization, such as cults, sect, established sect, denomination, and ecclesia. Religions organize themselves through institutions, practitioners, and structures in a variety of fashions. For instance, when the Roman Catholic Church emerged, it borrowed many of its organizational principles from the ancient Roman military and turned senators into cardinals. Sociologists use different terms like ecclesia, denomination, and sect to define these types of organization. Scholars are also aware that these definitions are not static. Most religions transition through different organizational phases. For example, the Christianity, it began as a cult, then it transformed into a sect, and today it exists as an ecclesia. Since we are already talking about the cult, sect, established sect, and denomination, and so on, we need to define those terms in order for us to know what are the meaning of those types of religions. Cults, like sect, is a new religious groups. In the United States today, this term often carries pejorative connotations. However, almost all religions began as a cult and gradually progressed to levels of greater size and organization. The term cult is sometimes used interchangeably with the term New Religious Movement, or called NRM. In its pejorative use, These groups are often disparaged as being secretive, highly controlling of members' lives, and dominated by a single charismatic leader. Second types of religion is sect. A sect is a small and relatively a new group. Most of the well-known Christian denomination in the United States today began as a sect. For example, the Methodists and Baptists protested against the parent Anglican Church in England, protested against the Catholic Church by forming the Anglican Church. From protests comes the term Protestant. Occasionally, a sect is a breakaway group that may be in tension with a larger society. They sometimes claim to be returning to the fundamentals or to contest the veracity of a particular doctrine. When a membership in a sect increases over time, it may grow into a denomination. Often, a sect begins as an offshoot of a denomination. When a group of members believe they should separate from the larger group, some sects dissolve without growing into denominations. Sociologists call this as an established sect. Third types of religion is the established sect, such as the Amish or the Jehovah's Witnesses, fall halfway between sect and denomination on the ecclesia or the cult continuum because they have a mixture of sect like a denomination characteristic of it. Fourth is a denomination. A denomination is a large mainstream religious organization, but it does not claim to be official or state-sponsored. It is one religion among many. For example, Baptist, African Methodist, Episcopal, Catholic, and Seventh-day Adventist are all Christian denominations. And last types of organization is the ecclesia. The term ecclesia, originally referring to a political assembly of citizens in ancient Athens, Greece, now refers to a congregation. In sociology, the term is used to refer to a religious group that most of all members of a society belong to. It is considered a nationally recognized or official religion that holds a religious monopoly and is closely allied with state and secular powers. The United States does not have an ecclesia by this standard. In fact, this is the type of religious organization that many of the first colonists came to America to escape. Since we are done talking about the types of religion organization, let's move on to the world's religion. Religions have emerged and developed across the world. Some have been short-lived, while others have persisted and grown. In this section, we will explore the 7 of the world's major religions, such as the Hinduism, Buddhism, and so on. So first, Hinduism. Hinduism is the oldest religion in the world. Hinduism originated in the Indus River Valley about 4,500 years ago in what is now modern-day northwest India and Pakistan. It arose contemporaneously with ancient Egyptian and Mesopotamian cultures. With roughly 1 billion followers, Hinduism is the third largest of the world's religions. Hindus believe in a divine power that can manifest as a different entities. 3 main incarnations are the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, are sometimes compared to the manifestation of the divine in the Christian Trinity. Multiple sacred texts, collectively called the Vedas, contain hymns and rituals from ancient India and are mostly written in Sanskrit. Hindus generally believe in a set of principles called dharma, which refer to one's duty in a world that corresponds with right actions. Hindus also believe in karma, or the notion that spiritual ramifications of one's actions are balanced cyclically in this life or a future life, the one on what we call reincarnation. Second is Buddhism. Buddhism was founded by Siddhartha Gautama around 500 BCE. Siddhartha was said to have given up a comfortable upper class life to follow one of poverty and spiritual devotion. At the age of 35, he famously meditated under a sacred fig tree and vowed not to rise before he achieved enlightenment or Buddhi. After this experience, he became known as Buddha or Enlightened One. Followers were drawn to Buddha's teachings and the practice of meditation, and he later established a monastic order. Buddha's teachings encourage Buddhists to lead a moral life by accepting the Four Noble Truths. First is life is suffering. Second, suffering arises from attachment to desires. Third, suffering ceases when attachment to desire ceases. And fourth, freedom from suffering is possible by following the middle way. The concept of the middle way is central to the Buddhist thinking, which encourages people to live in the present and to practice acceptance of others. Buddhism also tends to de-emphasize the role of a godhead, instead stressing the importance of personal responsibility. Once again, I'm Engine Cadet Navarro, and that is my topic. And the next reporter will be Engine Cadet Padigos Leonard. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Engine Cadet Leonard Padigos. So, my topic is to continue the different types of religion, which is the Confucianism, Taoism, Judaism, Islam, and lastly is the Christianity. So first, let's talk about Confucianism. So, Confucianism was the official religion of the China from 200 before Christ until it was officially abolished when communist leadership discouraged religious practice in 1949. The religion was developed by Kung Fu Shu or Confucius, who lived in the 6th and 5th century BCE. An extraordinary teacher, his lessons which were about self-discipline, respect for authority and tradition, and the treatment of every person, were collected in a book called the Analects. Taoism, or the purpose of Taoism, is the inner peace and harmony. Tao is usually translated to as way or path. The founder of the religion is generally recognized to be a man named Lao Shi, who lived sometimes in the 6th century BCE in China. Taoist beliefs emphasize the virtues of compassion and moderation. The central concept of Tao can be understood to describe the spiritual reality, the order of the universe, or the way of modern life, in harmony with the former two. As we observe, the Confucianism and Taoism are both developed in the land of China. They have different values. They emphasize, the Taoism emphasize the belief in nature, dealing with the life of natural manner, while Confucianism is based on human conduct as opposed to a religion belief in God. Fo- Taoism focuses majorly on nature. Confucianism is focused on improving society. So now, let's move on to Judaism. So, Judaism, after the exodus from Egypt in the 30th century BCE, Jews, a nomadic society, became monotheistic, worshipping only one God, just like Christian. The Jews' covenant or promise of a special relationship with Yahweh or God, we know that in the Bible, is an important element of Judaism. And their sacred text is the Torah, which is Christians also follow the first 5 books of the Bible. So we know that in the First Testament, the just like the Genesis, Talmud refers to a collection of sacred Jewish oral interpretation of the Torah. Jews emphasize moral behavior and action in this world as opposed to belief or personal salvation in the next world. Jewish tradition values the body and good health, supporting measures to protect them. Taking pleasure in a sense and avoiding destructive behavior reflects this value as does the pursuit of spiritual and emotional health. Is and now let's talk about Islam religion. So we know that the Islam is the second most have devotee, second to the uh, followed by the Christian. Islam is a monotheistic religion and it follows of teaching the Prophet Muhammad. So Muhammad born in Mecca, Saudi Arabia in 570 CE. Muhammad is seen only as a prophet, not as a divine being, and he is believed to be the messenger of Allah. Allah is the God who is divine, who is divine. The followers of Islam, whose US United States population is projected to double in the next 20 years. Pew Research Forum 2011 are called Muslim. Islam means peace and submission. The sacred text of for Muslim is the Quran or the Quran, as with Christianity. Old Testament. Many of the Quran stories are shared with the Jewish faithful. As we as we as we what I say earlier that Jewish and Islam is have similarities. In the Jewish they call God is Yahweh, while in the Muslim the God is they they call it Allah. Christianity today, so now let's move on to Christianity. Christianity today is the largest religion in the world. Christianity began 200 years ago in Palestine with Jesus of Nazareth, a charismatic leader who taught his followers about caritas or charity, or treating others as you would like to be treated yourself. The sacred text for Christianity is the Bible. While Jews, Christians, and Muslims share many of the same historical religious stories, their belief verge in their sacred uh, they share sacred stories. It is suggested that the Son of God, a Messiah, will return to save God's followers. Different Christian groups have variation among their sacred texts. In terms of religious comparison, mainstream Christian domination do not believe in are in recre, rec, rec, reincarnation or the transmigration of the soul to the soul. Contrary to the belief of the Jews, Christianity teaches evangelism often through the establishment of missions, unlike the Jews who do not accept converts to their faith. And that's all about my topic. This is Engine Captain Padigos. Thank you for your listening.
So, good day everyone. I am Engine Cadet Espinosa Luigi, and I am here to tackle about the philosophical foundation of each religion. So, let's define philosophy of religion. So, philosophy of religion is the philosophical study of the meaning and nature of religion. So, it includes the analysis of religious concepts, beliefs, terms, arguments, and practice of religious adherence. So when we are talking about religious adherence, it talks about us, the believer or advocate of such a church. The scope of much of the work done in philosophy of religion has been limited to various theistic religions, or what we call a God believer religions. More recent work often involves a broader, more global approach, taking into consideration both theistic and non-theistic religion traditions. The range of those engaged in the field of philosophy of religion is broad and diverse, and includes philosophers from the analytical and continental traditions, such as Eastern and Western thinkers, religious believers and agnostics, skeptics and atheists. So, philosophy of religion draws on all of the major areas of philosophy, as well as other relevant fields, including theology, history, sociology, our subject, psychology, and the natural sciences. So, philosophical foundation helps to determine the driving purpose of such a thing, especially this topic, the religion. So, so the first foundation of philosophical foundation of religion is the metaphysics. So, metaphysics chiefly addresses questions about what is ultimately real and important. So, philosophy of religion explores and evaluates religious views of reality and seek to understand religious practice. Uh, for example, the Christianity, the ultimate real and important of them is the resurrection and the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, and also the Bible itself. That's that's the ultimate real and important in the Christianity. So second philosophical foundation in religion is the epistemology. Epistemology of religion is the branch of epistemology concerned with the rationality, the justificatory status, and the knowledge status of religious beliefs. So most often the belief in the existence of an omnipotent, omniscient, and loving God as conceived by the major monotheistic religion. So when we are talking about omnipotent, it is a it is just like an ultimate power, that God can do anything. And when we say about the major monotheistic religion, it is a religion that is who believe in one God only. So the third one is the value theory. It is a third foundation of philosophical foundation of religion. So value theory is religious values are usually based on values reflected within religious texts or by the influence of the lives of religious person. So known as the indigenous the religious value hypothesis, which means guessed when we say hypothesis. The origin of religious values can be seen as the product of the values held by the society in which the religion originated from. So, from the word itself, value, it is where a person or can adapt, and when we say theory, it is a prediction or guessing. So, the fourth philosophical foundation of religion is the philosophy of language. So the term religious language refers to statements or claims made about God or gods. Here is a typical philosophical problem of religious language. If God is infinite, then words used to describe finite creatures might not adequately describe God. So that is one of the example of religious language. The statement claims made about the gods or gods. So as, from the word itself, language talks about languages. So science is the fifth philosophical foundation of religion. So religion and science are both of for explanation for why life and universe exist. So science relies on testable empirical evidence and observation. So religion relies on subjective belief in creature. So so this fifth foundation is like a studies or observation or on how the religions re- has a evidence and a testable empirical evidence. And the sixth philosophical foundation is the history. The history of religion refers to a written record of human religious feelings, thoughts, and ideas. So this period of religious history begins with the invention of writing about 5,220 years ago. So without this history, we cannot establish a religion because this help us create a record or past record that help us to be able to conduct a ideas in this present time. So that's why we have a history as one of the foundation of the philosophical foundation of religion. So the seventh one is the politics. So one of the defining features of post-Cold War era has been the resurgence of religious politics. By this, we mean the increased politicizations of individuals and groups are defined by their faith tradition. So, siya politics. So, the eighth, art, the art. So, art is one of the philosophical foundation of a religion. Religious art is artistic imaginary using religious inspiration and motives as is often intended to uplift the mind of the spiritual. Sacred art involves ritual and cultic practices and practical and operative aspects of path of a spiritual realization within the artist's religious tradition. So the art help us to be to inspire the what is this kind of religion. It help us to understand using the art. That's how the helpful art is. So without this all philosophical foundation, it's hard to create or establish a religion. That's why this all foundation or philosophical foundation helps to establish a religion. So now let's talk about the philosophical foundation of each religion. So the first religion is the Christianity. So the philosophy of Christianity is the love of divine wisdom. So and the foundation of Christianity is salvation of Christian life. So when we are talking about salvation, it means the saving of human beings from sin and its consequences, which include death and separate from God. So Jesus Christ sacrificed itself so that the sin of us people will be banished. So the second religion is Hinduism. Under philosophical foundation of Hinduism is the sacred wisdom or the Upanishads. The sacred writings of Hinduism predate recorded history. The Upanishad is a book deal with ritual observance and the individual's place in the universe, and in doing so develop the fundamental concept of the supreme oversoul or God known as the Brahman, who both created and is the universe, and that of that Atman, the individual's higher self, whose goal in life is union with Brahman. So the book itself is the foundation of the Hinduism. So Buddhism is the third religion. The Buddha taught the famous Fourth Noble Truths, an eightfold path, which allows people to achieve enlightenment. Enlightenment where our nirvana, awakening, realization, satori, is the cessation of suffering, freedom from conditioned existence, or samsara. So, Four Noble Truths are the truths of noble ones, the truths of realities for the spiritually worthy ones. And the Eightfold Path is the steps of Noble Eightfold Path are right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So, the fourth religion has a philosophical foundation is the Confucianism is the importance of having good moral character, which can then affect the world around the person through the idea of cosmic harmony. If the emperor has moral perfection, his rule will be peaceful and benevolent. So that's one example of the importance of having a good moral character in Confucianism. So the fifth one is the Taoism. So the cosmic Tao, or the way of the cosmos, are their fundamental philosophical. Is an indeterminate force or principle that latently contains all things and spontaneously generates the universe through its constant rhythmic fluctuation. So humanity will flourish only if its Tao or way is attuned with the natural order. So the sixth one is the Judaism. Judaism is a monotheistic religion developed among the ancient Hebrews. So monotheistic means the religion believe only one God. So that is monotheistic. So Judaism is characterized by a belief in one transcendent God who revealed himself to Abraham, Moses, and Hebrew prophets, and by a religious life in accordance with scriptures and rabbinic tradition. So the seventh one is the Islamic philosophy or Arabic philosophy. Arabic falsafa are the foundation doctrine of philosophers of the 9th and 12th century. So Islamic world who wrote primarily in Arabic. These doctrines combine Aristotelianism and Neoplatonism with other ideas introduced through Islam. So these two are the philosophical foundation of Islam.
Good day everyone, I am Engine Cadet Sumaganday Edson, and I will discuss about the influence of the world of each religion. So the religion I will discuss is the atheism, the Buddhism, Christianity, and Confucianism. First, atheism or agnosticism. Atheism refers to either the absence of a belief in the existence of deities or to an active belief that deities do not exist. This belief system rejects theology as well as the construct of organized religion. So, in simple word, atheism is a non-religious organization, or I mean not organization, but they are non-religious rather. So atheism, they don't believe in gods and deities, but because they believe in something that they see or what they strongly believe. But the atheism or the atheist is they much believe in what they see, just like science. So many people who don't believe in God and deities are atheists, and also they they much believe in science. So just like the scientists, some scientists, or not all but some, is they don't believe in gods, but rather they just believe in all explanation, because they know that science has all the explanation. They just need to discover it. So that's why they don't believe in gods. And also, being an atheist is about what you believe and don't believe, not about what you wish to be true or wish to find comforting. So that's what I said, just like a scientist. They just believe in what they see, and they don't believe in what they don't see or wish to be true, just like fate or luck. The scientists, they always have a probability. That's why they know math, and that's all. So the next one is by. So the by faith is essential spiritual ideology, teaches the value of all religions, espousing the importance of universal equality and unity. Babalu, the founding figure in the Baha'i faith, officially established his ideology in 1863 in Persia, or modern-day Iran. So, by faith is that all human beings are equally God's creation, regardless of gender, race, nationality, or creed, and should be respected and treated without prejudice. So they influence the world by treating anyone or all religion equally. Just for me, I think they respect the LGBTQ community, because as what I've said, they have equality and unity, and teaches all religion. I teaches the value of all religions. So I think they get all the value or the teaching of all religion. So and they importance the equality and unity of each of it. So by is a thing that is a religion that combines all the belief or the value of all the religion. So next is the Buddhism. So Buddhism is both a religion and philosophy. The tradition and belief surrounding Buddhism can be traced to the original teachings of Gautama Buddha, a sagely thinker who is believed to have lived between the 4th and 6th centuries BCE. So Buddhism is influenced the world by doing good, because if you will do good, you will achieve enlightenment. But if you will Buddhism believe that the human life is one of suffering, and that meditation, spiritual and physical labor, and good behavior are the ways to achieve enlightenment or nirvana. So just what I've said, if you will do good, you will be enlightened. So there is always a price in everything that you do good, and if you do bad, there is a consequence. And the next one is Christianity. So Christianity is a monotheistic religion based on the life and teaching of Jesus of Nazareth. Christianity teaches that Jesus is the Son of God and the Messiah, the Savior of humanity foretold in the Torah. The primary scriptural doctrine of Jewish faith. So, Christianity is throughout its long history. So, that it had a major source of social services like schooling and medical care, and inspirational for art, culture, philosophy, and an influential player in the politics and religion. Christianity is they just believe in one. They just believe in. They just believe in Jesus. They don't believe in other just like us, Roman Catholic. We believe in Mama Mary, other like saints. But Christianity, they just believe in one God, and it is Jesus. Just like Iglesia ni Cristo. Iglesia ni Cristo is just like Christianity, but they believe in Jesus Christ, and also Bible study. They just believe in Bible. Christianity is a monotheistic, so monotheistic just believe in one. So mono means one. So that's why they just believe in teaching of Jesus of Nazareth. So next one is Confucianism. Confucianism was dominant for philosophy and religion orientation in ancient China, one that emerged from the teaching of Chinese philosopher Confucius, who lived in 5051 and 479 BCE. So, how Confucianism influenced the world? They have a golden rule of Confucianism. The saying that do not do unto others what would not want others do unto you. So it's just like we people here in Philippines, it's called karma. So if you don't like what others do to you, don't do it. So just like if you treat him like a garbage, he will treat you like also a garbage. So like just like if you backstab that person, and you will be angry because he or she backstab you. So why you do that thing that makes you angry, that you do that to that person? So be mindful in what things you do, because it may get back to you. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Cabilao, Jude. And now let's proceed to the 6 different kinds of religions in the world. The 6th is Druze. Druze refers to an Arabic ethno-religious group that originated in and still largely inhabits the mountain of Druze region in southern Syria. Despite a small population of adherents, the Druze nonetheless play an important role in the development of the religion, known in historical shorthand as a Levant. The Druze view themselves as the direct descendants of Jethro of Midian, distinguished in Jewish scripture as the father-in-law of Moses. The Druze considered Jethro a hidden prophet, one through whom God spoke to revealed prophet Moses. As such, the Druze are considered related to Judaism by marriage. Like their in-laws, the Druze are monotheistic, professing faith in only one God. Druze ideologies are something of a hybrid though, drawing from the cultural teaching of Islam, but also incorporating the wisdom of Greek philosophers such as Plato and concept of reincarnation similar to those in Hindu canon. Jethro's status as a hidden prophet is an important conceptual dimension of the Druze culture. Indeed, it presents day scriptures and community remain somewhat insular. The close-knit communities rooted in the present days, Syria, Lebanon, and Israel, have long been subject to persecution, particularly at the hands of Islamic theocracies. This may be one reason that the Druze, while participating actively in the politics and affairs of their home nations, shield their customs and practices from the eyes of outsiders. Today, there are between 800,000 and 1 million Druze adherents, nearly all of them consecrated in the Middle East. Next is Gnosticism. Gnosticism likely refers not to a single religious orientation, but to an interreligious phenomenon in which various groups across an array of religions evolved to a similar set of beliefs and ideas. A term adopted in modern historical discourage, Gnosticism concerned that the variety of religious system and belief in the ancient world that emerged from the Judeo to Christian tradition. This belief system held that emanations from a single God were responsible for the creation of the material world and that as such all humans carried the divine spark of God. Gnosticism is dualistic and draws sharp divides between the superior spiritual world and the inferior material world, with the gaining of receiving of special hidden knowledge, gnosis, allowing the transcendence from one realm to another. Emerging in the 1st century CE, in close concert with the emergence of Christianity, Gnosticism is perhaps best understood as the intermediary set of ideas shared by portions of the world as Christianity gradually eclipsed Judaism in size and scope. The next is Hinduism. Hinduism is regarded by some as the world's oldest religion, likely dating back to what is known on the Indian subcontinent as the Vedic Age. During this period, 1500 to 600 BCE, civilization transitioned from tribal and pastoral living into settled and agricultural living. From this emerged social classes, state entities, and monarchies. The primary texts retailing the period of history are called the Vedas and would significantly inform the so-called Hindu synthesis. The Hindu synthesis was a period of time, roughly 500 BCE to 300 BCE, in which the precept of Hinduism solidified from multiple intertwining strands of Indian spiritual and cultural tradition, emerging from a broad range of philosophies to share an unifying set of concepts. Critical among these concepts is the theme of the four purusharthas or goals of human life. First is dharma, ethics and duties. Next is artha, prosperity and work. Third is kama, desires and passion. And last is moksha, liberation and salvation. Other important concepts include karma, which asserts as a universal relationship between action, intent, and consequences. Samsara, the Hindu concept of rebirth. and a wide range of yogic practices merging the body, mind, and elements. Though no one figure or group is credited with its founding, Hinduism is the third largest religion in the world today. Its more than 1 billion adherents comprise more than 15% of the world's population. Though no one figure or group is created with founding, Hinduism is the third largest religion in the world today. And the next is Islam. Islam is a monotheistic religion that, like Christianity and Judaism, traces its roots to the Garden of Eden, Adam, and the Prophet Abraham. Islam teaches that Allah is the only God and that Muhammad is his messenger. Islam holds that God spoke to Muhammad through the Archangel Gabriel. Sometime around 600 CE, delivering the revelations that would form the Quran. This primary text of the Islamic faith is believed by adherents to contain the exact word of God and therefore provides a full and non-negotiable blueprint for how to live. The Quran and the Islamic legal code known as Sharia inform every aspect of life, from ethics and worship to family matters and the business dealings. Islam holds that good behaviors and adherence will lead to an afterlife in paradise, whereas disregard for Muhammad's teachings will lead to damnation. The Islamic faith proliferated rapidly through the Middle East, particularly around the three holiest sites of the faith, Mecca, where an awakened Muhammad made his first pilgrim, Medina, the center of the early Islamic faith under Muhammad's leadership, and Jerusalem, the spiritual capital of the ancient world in the centuries to follow. Islam would simultaneously produce countless wars of subsection and a growing sense of spiritual unity within the Arab world. This dichotomy between internal conflict and cultural unity remains a presence in the Islamic faith today. This dichotomy would also give way to the division between the two dominant sects of Islam, Sunni and Shia. Today, Islam is the dominant faith for large swaths of geography, particularly in the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and North Africa, with more than 1.6 billion adherents. Islam is the second largest religion in the world and the chief spiritual identity for more than 24% of the world populations. Jainism. Jainism is an ancient Indian religion that, according to its adherents, can be traced through a succession of 24 sagely teachers. The first of these teachers is thought to have been Rabbanatha, who lived millions of years ago. Jainism's primary tenets are ahimsa, or non-violence, anikantavada, or many-sidedness, aparigara, non-attachment, and asceticism, or abstinence from pleasure. These and other concepts are outlined in the Akaranga Sutra, the oldest of the Jainist scriptures, as one of the earliest extant religious traditions to emerge from the spiritually fertile Indian subcontinent. Jainism both shares with diverges from features of the Hindu and Buddhist tradition that also emerged there. Like Hindu and Buddhism, Jainism teaches the doctrines of karma, rebirth, and monastics, as opposed to theistic spiritual practices. Jainism believes that soul is an ever-changing thing, bound to the body only for a lifetime, which differs from Hindu or Buddhism ideas about the soul as part of an infinite and constant universe. This focus on the corporeal and extends to the Jainist caste system, which, not unlike Hinduism, requires adherence is to social liberation in favor of spiritual liberation. Today, most of the world's 4 to 5 million Jains reside in India. And the next is Judaism. Judaism is one of the oldest monotheistic world religions, among the first ethno-religious groups to move away from idolatry or paganism and toward the recognition of a single deity. Judaism is said to have begun with the figure of Abraham, a man living in the land of Canaan, a geographical expanse likely encompassing portions of Phoenicia, Philistia, and Israel. In the Tanakh, the body of Jewish scriptures, which includes a foundational text called the Torah and later supplemental text called the Midrash and the Talmud. It is said that God spoke to Abraham and commanded him to recognize the singularity and omnipotence of God. Abraham accepted becoming the father not just of Judaism but of the various monotheistic or Abrahamic religions that followed. Thus, Abraham is seen not just the first prophet of Judaism but also of the Christian and Islamic faiths that sprang from the Judaic tradition. The Jewish faith is based upon a covenant between Abraham and God, in which the former renounced idolatry and accepted the latter as the only divine authority. In exchange, God promised to make Abraham's offspring a chosen people. This chosen people would become the children of Israel, and eventually the Jewish faith. To seal the covenant, Abraham became the first recipient of the ritualistic circumcision. This circumcision is still performed today on every newborn Jewish male as a symbol of the covenant, with roughly 14.3 million adherents. Practitioners of Judaism comprise about 0.2% of the world's population. Historians observe that while Abraham almost certainly lived more than 3,000 years ago, literary liberties taken with the scriptures make it impossible to ascertain exactly when he lived. But his influence would loom large in the ancient world, with the rabbinic moral codes of Judaism and its model of ethical monotheism, both significantly informing the formulation of law and religion in Western civilization. With roughly 14.3 million adherents, practitioners of Judaism comprise about 0.2% of the world's population. And the next is Rastafarianism. Rastafarianism is a newer religious movement that follows in the Abrahamic tradition of monotheism, referring to the singular deity as Jah. Rastafari holds the Christian Bible as their primary scripture but offer an interpretation highly connected to their own political and geographical realities. Centered around early 20th century, Jamaica Rastafarianism emerged as the ethnocultural reaction to British occupation and oppressions. This oppression would play a major role in Afrocentric interpretation of the Bible favored by Rastafari. In the early 1930s, a movement of Rastafarians espoused that the faithful were living in an African diaspora, scattered from their homelands by colonization and slavery, to be freed from oppression in Western society or Babylon. Many Rastafari believe it necessary to resettle adherents in the African homelands. A figure of central importance in the Rastafarian faith, Haile Selassie rose to the rank of Emperor of Ethiopia in 1930. This was considered the germinal moment in the emergence of the modern religious tradition. Selassie was viewed by Rastafari as a second coming, a direct descendant of Christ, and the Messiah foretold in the book of Revelation. Selassie was seen as a man who would lead the people of Africa and those living in the diaspora to freedom and liberation. His 1966 visit to Jamaica would become the pivotal moment in the spread of Rastafari ideas and the resultant political movement for liberation within Jamaica. This visit led to the eventual conversion of Rastafari's most famous adherent, singer Bob Marley. Marley would help to spread the popular visibility of the faith, as well as his practices of communal gathering, musical expression, prevention of the natural world, and the use of cannabis as a spiritual sacrament today. Between 700,000 and 1 million adherents practice Rastafarism, the major of them concentrated in Jamaica.
Hi everyone, I'm Engine Cadet Gabriel Allan. So here's the number 13 kinds of religion in the world. So the number 13 is what you call the Shinto. Shinto is a religious tradition native to Japan. Initially an informal collection of beliefs and mythologies. Shinto was less a religion than a distinctly Japanese form of cultural observance. So, Shinto, or the way of gods, is the indigenous faith of the Japanese people, and as old as Japan itself. It remains Japan's major religion alongside Buddhism. So, next is uh, what you call Sikhism. Sikhism is a monotheistic faith emerging from and remaining concentrated in the Punjabi or Punjabi region that traverses northern India and eastern Pakistan. The first spiritual leader of Sikhism is Guru Nanak. His name is Guru Nanak. Lived from 1469 to 1539 and taught that a good spiritual life must be intertwined with a secular life well lived. Um, so so Sikhism is an religion that originated in the Punjab region of the Indian subcontinent around the end of the 15th century. It is the most recently founded major organized faith and stands at fifth largest worldwide with about 25 to 30 million adherents as of the early 21st century. So the number for 15 is Zoroastrianism. So this region is considered one of the world's oldest religions, and some of its earliest ideas like messianism, posthumous judgment, and the duality of heaven and hell are believed to have informed the evolution of Judaism, as well as Gnosticism, Christianity, and Islam. Zoroaster's ideas fell out of authority after the Muslim conquest of Persia in the 7th century. So This religion is an ancient Persian religion that may have originated as early as 4,000 years ago. The world's first monotheistic faith is one of the oldest religions still in existence. Zoroastrianism now has an estimated 100 to 200,000 worshippers worldwide and is practiced today as, as a minority religion in parts of Iran and India. So the next one is traditional African religion. Countless religious traditions inform the inhabitants of the African continent, each with its own distinct practices and beliefs based on region and ethnicity. True Christianity and Islam are today the dominant religious traditions in Africa. Informal estimates place the number of adherents to traditional African religions at 100 million. So, this religion refers to the indigenous religions of the African people. It deals with their cosmology, ritual practices, symbols, arts, society, and so on. Because religion is a way of life. It relates to culture, to our culture and society as well, as they affect the worldview of the African people. So the next is the African diaspora religions. The European slave trade and practices of colonization created what is known as the African diaspora. Here, individuals, families, and whole groups were displaced from the communities or tribes they called home on the African continent. So this religion are a number of related religions that developed in the Americans in various nations of the Caribbean, Latin America, and the southern United States. They derive, they derive from traditional African religions with some influences from other religious traditions, notably Christianity and Islam. And lastly, the indigenous American religions. Native American religions encompass the broad and diverse set of customs, beliefs, and practices observed by the indigenous populations that thrived in the Americas before the arrival of European colonists. So, these religions are the spiritual practices of the Native Americans in the United States. And that's all. Thank you. Keep safe. Keep safe, guys.
Thank you for listening and keep safe always.